All right, let's journey together to a storm-swept mountain peak, a place where lightning is cracking open the sky, because it's here that a conversation is happening. A conversation between God and one man that is going to shape a nation's destiny, its art, and even how it understands time itself. This is the divine blueprint of Exodus 31.
So let's just start with this one big question that's going to frame everything we talk about. What really happens when the creator of the entire universe has this grand, specific design in mind, and he calls you, by name, to be the one to bring it all to life? Okay, let's dive right in. Our story kicks off with what you could call a divine talent search for what is probably the most important construction project in all of history. God is choosing his master craftsman.
So, verse 1, I want you to picture this. Moses is up there, all alone on Mount Sinai. The air is thick with clouds, you can feel the rumble of thunder, and right out of that raw, epic power, a voice speaks. And look, this isn't some vague feeling or a whisper on the wind. No, this is a direct, one-on-one conversation. The divine commission is officially beginning.
Now, verse 2, you've got to hear this. God doesn't just give a vague order like, find me a builder. He says, see, I have called by name Bezalel. Can you imagine that? It's like a single divine spotlight cuts through the entire crowd of people and lands on just one guy. God knows his name, his father, his grandfather, his whole story. This choice is incredibly personal.
So verse 3 tells us where his power comes from. God says he has filled Bezalel with the Spirit of God. I mean, just picture a divine download, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge just pouring directly into his mind. Then in verse 4, we see what that download does. This Spirit gives him the power to dream up masterful designs and then actually work with these incredible materials, gold, silver, and bronze. And verse 5 just completes the picture. He can now also cut and set jewels with absolute precision and carve the most intricate designs into wood. It's the full spectrum of artistry gifted directly from the source of all creativity.
Verse 6. You know, no great project is a solo act, and here the team gets bigger. God appoints a lead partner for Bezalel, a man named Aholiab. But it gets even better. God says he has put wisdom into the hearts of all the gifted artisans. Just imagine an entire workshop where every single person is divinely inspired, all ready to work together in this perfect creative harmony. So what is this dream team actually supposed to build? Well, verses 7 through 11 lay out the entire holy blueprint. Let's walk through it. First, in verse 7, you've got the main structures, the tabernacle tent, the Ark of the Testimony, and the mercy seat that goes on top of it. Then verse 8, the furniture, the special table, and that pure gold lampstand. Verse 9 gives us the places of worship, the altar of incense and the much bigger altar of burnt offering. And finally, verses 10 and 11 cover the secret details, the beautifully woven priestly garments and the one-of-a-kind anointing oil and fragrant incense. I mean, every single piece is part of this complete, holy environment, designed by God himself.
All right, so after this incredible flurry of creative commands, build this, design that, create this, God does something really unexpected. He pivots. The whole conversation shifts, and it shifts dramatically, from the theme of doing to the just as important theme of not doing. We're moving on to the sign of the Sabbath. Verses 12 and 13. God gives Moses a message now for the entire nation. And right in the middle of all these instructions for this massive building project, he says, you must keep my Sabbaths. He calls it a sign between him and the people for all their generations to come. This makes it so clear. This is not just a day off. It's a visible, repeating symbol of who they are and their unique relationship with God.
And then verse 14, well, it raises the stakes to the absolute maximum. The Sabbath is officially declared holy, and anyone who treats it like a common day, who profanes it, is to be put to death. Just try to imagine building a protective wall around a sacred space, but that space isn't a place, it's a block of time. This law makes violating that time the most serious offense you can possibly commit.
Verse 15 lays out the rhythm of life perfectly. You get 6 days for all your work, for all the hammering, the carving, the weaving, but that seventh day, it's a Sabbath of complete rest, holy to the Lord. As you can see right here, one side is for labor, the other is for sacred stillness, and the boundary between them is absolute.
Verse 16 makes it crystal clear that this isn't some temporary rule for the desert. The Sabbath is to be observed throughout their generations as a perpetual covenant.
You can almost picture it like a golden thread woven through a family's history, passed down and down. That thread is the Sabbath, an unbroken, eternal practice that literally defines who they are.
But why this rhythm? Why 6 days of work and 1 day of rest? Verse 17 gives us the ultimate reason. It's an eternal sign because it perfectly mirrors the rhythm of creation itself. In 6 days, the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day, he rested and was refreshed. The people's weekly life is designed to be a living, breathing echo of the very rhythm of the cosmos. And now, we've come to the final moment. The epic conversation is over. The blueprints have been delivered. The rules have been established. What happens next is the climax of this entire 40-day encounter on the mountain.
Verse 18, the grand finale. When God finished speaking with Moses up there on the mountain, he did something real, something tangible. He gave him 2 tablets of stone, and the text says they were, and I quote, written with the finger of God. This whole divine conversation ends with a physical object, carved not by any human hand, but by the Creator himself.
And so, this whole story leaves us with a really powerful question, doesn't it? It all began with God calling one man, Bezaleel, by name, and filling him with specific gifts for divine purpose. So it makes you wonder, right? What unique skill, what divine gift has been placed in your heart? What masterpiece are you being called to create?